In this video, I'm going to show you how you can make a really easy shoe rack so that way you can turn this into this. And the cool part about it is it only requires two 2x6s and it'll only take you about an hour to get it done. So we're going to do this entire build with only two 8-foot 2x6s, but I just want to go and say really quick, try to get the straightest 2x6s you could possibly get. See, these are not really bad at all. They're actually really pretty good. Try to get the straightest ones that you possibly can. It's going to make your job a lot easier. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and cut the top of our shoe rack, because the top of it is going to be a little bench. So the very top, I'm going to have it to be 32 inches by 10 inches. So what I want to do to start with is, we've only got 5.5 inches here, 5.5 inches here, but we need 10 inches. So what I'm going to do is well, first I'm going to cut these boards at 32, exactly where we need them at, 32. And then I'm going to take them on the table saw, and I'm going to take that edge off, so that way, instead of it being rounded over, it'll be straight. But I will say, you don't have to do this part of it. If you don't care about this being curved, that's perfectly fine. You can still butt the two up together, and it'll be perfectly fine. So you see what I'm saying? There's really nothing wrong with that. All right, you just have like this rounded over edge on both sides meeting in the middle. But honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. It really just depends on what you like. Me personally, I just want to get rid of the rounded edge on the meeting side. Where the two are going to meet up together, and then just have this side and that side rounded over. So that's why I'm going to at least take off that straight edge. All right, so now we've got both of our boards cut to 32 inches because this is going to be my top. But like I said, we've got 5.5 inches, 5.5 inches, that gives 11 inches, but we want 10 inches. Now, again, you could stop right here if you wanted to, and you could just go ahead and join these boards together. This actually looks perfectly fine. This really does not look that bad at all, because I was able to pick out some pretty straight boards. So that line, I mean, honestly, even myself, I'm not really dissatisfied with that at all. But here's the thing, for the space that I'm working with, I really don't need the 11 inches. Honestly, my wife wasn't really too thrilled about the 10 inches, but I mean, to make this a usable bench, I mean, grief. I mean, if you go any smaller, I mean, it's just going to be like a ledge instead of an actual bench. So I talked her into the 10 inches, so that's what we're going to go with. But if you can find straight boards, that is really good. That actually looks pretty good right there. But as I said, let me go ahead and cut I'm gonna cut the worst looking edges off, which really this board doesn't really look bad at all on either edge. But I'm gonna find the edge that I'm the most displeased with, like that right there. That might be a good one to get rid of, and keep the edges that I don't think looks all that bad. Okay, so we now have our two boards, and as you see, now that makes a perfectly seamless joint. Like, you literally cannot see a crack at all whatsoever. And that's, you know, for me, that's the look I'm going for. So that way I've got rounded edges on the outside, rounded edge on the outside, and perfectly seamless on the middle. But again, you just pick whatever you like to do. If you want this to be rounded in the middle, it doesn't look that bad if you find really good straight boards. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pocket hole jig, and I'm going to put some pocket holes throughout these board, or at least one side of this board right here, join these two together with some glue in the middle, and that's going to be my bench top. All right, so before I start putting pocket holes in the top, I might as well go ahead and cut the legs and the actual shelf, just so that way, because I'm gonna have to end up pocket holing the legs and the shelf, just like I'm gonna have to do with this. So I might as well just do all the pocket holes at one time. So for the legs, I need legs that are 8 inches by 15.5 inches. So with this one piece that I have left over, this is about 32 inches. So I'll be able to get the 15.5 inch legs out of this one. So one board is going to already get me my top and my legs, and all I'm going to have to worry about after that is the middle rack for the shoes. So that's how you're able to do this with two 2x6s. Okay, so I have my two boards for my legs, and I only want the legs to be 8 inches wide. Since the top is 10 inches wide, I want a 1 inch overhang on both sides. So now I'm going to rip these down to 8 inches. So 4 on one side and 4 on the other side. Okay, so now we've got at least one set of legs, and we're right at 8 inches on those. Okay, so the same thing, we're gonna have to put some pocket holes here, join these two together, we'll put some glue in between. And even the same thing with the legs, you know, if you wanted to just put rounded edges butted up against each other, that's perfectly fine. But let me go ahead and cut another set of legs. Okay, so we got our two 8 inch by 15.5 inch legs. This is going to be our legs for either side. We got our 10 inch by 32 inch bench top, and these were just some offcuts, so that's something we can save for later. That's pretty cool. It's not going to be used for this build, but we still have this entire piece of 2x6. So this is going to be what we use to build our actual rack where the shoes go. So that's what we need to figure out now, is what is going to be the size of our rack for our shoes. So it looks like about 8¼ inches, because I want this a little bit of a, so this is going to be the front side of my legs, and I want the kind of like this little bit of a, like a fall. So that's actually a 2-inch fall. I might put a little ledge right here or something, but so that way shoes would be able to fit under here, because this will be the floor. Let's just stand it up as it would be. All right. So our bench is going to sit directly on top. That's our bench top. Bench is going to sit directly on top. I'm going to have the rack right here, so that way shoes can go in this area. I think that'd be plenty of room. And then another pair, or another row of shoes can go on the floor under the rack. So I think that's going to be plenty of area for that to happen. So we're at about 8¼ inches. So that's what I'm going to cut now. Is 8¼ inches. We gained that extra 1/4 inch because we got this fall to it. So 8¼ inches, and then I'm going to have to figure out what the width is going to be. Okay, so the full dimension for the shoe rack is going to be 8¼ inches by 25 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those boards now. All right, so here's everything. There's our tabletop. This is our rack for our shoes, and that's our 2 legs, the left and right legs. So I cut every single bit of this in probably less than 30 minutes. Got these really cool offcuts. I don't know what in the world I'd ever use them for, but I think that's pretty cool. They're almost like perfectly square, so we'll figure out something to use those for. And still got a little tiny piece of one of the 2 2x6s left. So this entire project does not take long at all, and it only takes 2 8-foot 2x6s. Okay, so now the only thing that we need to do now is I'm gonna put pocket holes in one of each of these boards. Okay. And then we'll glue, and then we'll screw the pocket holes together. I mean, of course, you could get really fancy and you could use some, a domino, like a domino, or what's the other one? The dowel rods or something like that. But I'm just going to go ahead and do pocket holes, and that'll be perfectly fine for me. Okay, I've got pocket holes in every one of my pieces now. I made sure to make sure that we got the pocket holes to join these 2 halves together on every one, but also each one that was going to have to join to another part of the bench itself, I made sure to put those going sideways. Okay, so that's going to be legs. So those 2 up, and I know it's only 2, but I mean it's really not going to be. It's not going to be toting a lot of weight or anything, and probably, honestly, nobody will ever probably sit on it. It's just really more for looks. But anyway, so I got 2 of them there. That'll be perfectly fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue in here, mate these 2 together on every one of them, and screw them in with the pocket hole screws. And I'll just go ahead and assemble everything, because the pocket hole screws will hold everything together while the glue dries, so it doesn't really matter. It's not that big of a deal. And if you're wondering, I'm sure you've seen a pocket hole jig, but I just got the Kreg. I think it's like a 720. But anyway, I'll leave a link down in the description below, so that way you can see exactly what it is and pick you up one if you'd like one. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the glue in and screw it. All right, so I've got each one of the panels glued up. So there's our two legs. There's our top, our bench top, which you'll be able to sit on. And this will go in there, something like that. All right, so that's pretty much the entire build. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and screw everything together in its final position. But at this point, this is where you would either stain it or paint it or do whatever before you start it, you know, before you put the top on, because I think my wife would like this to be stained gray because we have a tabletop in the house that's already gray, and then the bottom portion white. So that's probably what I'll end up doing, but at least for right now, I do want to get it put together and see how it looks in place. Okay, y'all, so I've got everything screwed and glued together. So at this point, this is where you can, you know, just decide what you want to do with it from here. You know, I just wanted to give you a really simple way to be able to make a shoe rack, to be able to take care, you know, of all the shoes that just hang out at your front door. You know, if you're anything like mine and my kids, they just drop theirs off at the front door, and it just gets crazy after a while. So this will help with that. You know, you can put some shoes under here, shoes up here. This is really made for a bench that you could sit on, but you could actually even put shoes up here if you wanted to. You know, again, this is just an easy, simple project that you could probably do within an hour without having a whole bunch of fancy tools. You know, so the only thing that we used was a table saw, a chop saw or miter saw, whatever you call it, and a pocket hole jig. I would say if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, you probably don't need this. You probably don't even need that. Really, honestly, all you would really need is a skill saw. I believe that you could do everything that I've done today with a skill saw. You could even rip the skill saw, so you could even do that. Now, of course, pocket holes are going to make this job a lot easier. Although you can glue up boards together without pocket holes. I mean, that is actually a very common practice. The only thing is you have to have clamps to be able to hold it together for several hours. So that's why I chose to use the pocket holes, is so that way it holds the boards together for me. I don't have to wait. You know, so now this glue is not even dry. It's been there, you know, for 10 minutes. But it doesn't matter, because now it can sit there and dry because it's being held by the pocket holes. So yeah, I mean, at this point, if you want to get a little more sophisticated, you could paint it, you could do whatever you want to do with it. But I just wanted to show you a really simple way to make your own shoe rack out of just two 2x6s and an hour of your time. I mean, maybe 2 hours if you want to really go slow and kind of really take your time. One thing that I did that I would do different is I would change the orientation of these pocket holes. I would put these on the back side, so that way they're coming in like from the wall side, because this is the front side. So as you see, I just actually accidentally put those on the back side, so those will be sort of hidden, but those are going to be directly, you know, facing you. It's not that big of a deal, you know. It doesn't really matter. I could redo this whole thing and just change the orientation of the pocket holes, you know, whatever. It's not a big deal. This thing is functional. It will work. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below, and also please subscribe to this video. It surely would help me out a lot. I really thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.